Have you ever hugged someone and felt like you were doing it wrong? Not because you didn't love them, not because you didn't want them to feel better, but simply because you didn't know how to hug them the right way. No one ever taught you that. Not in school, not in relationship advice sessions. Maybe, not even your parents ever talked about it. Because a hug, though it seems so simple, is something deeply instinctive, but rarely ever guided. We're taught how to apologize, how to behave, how to say the right words. But no one shows you how to hug someone who's falling apart without saying a single thing. They should have, because sometimes the only thing keeping someone from slipping all the way down into emotional collapse isn't advice, isn't competence, but simply a pair of arms that are truly present. A hug can save a soul if you know how to give it at the right time, in the right way, with the right emotion that they themselves can't express. Today, we're going to talk about that kind of hug. The hug we all should have been taught to give. Do you remember the first time you gave someone a hug because you truly meant it? Not a polite hug, not a quick hello hug, but a real one. A hug where you knew they needed it more than any words you could possibly say. I remember mine. And I also remember the feeling awkward, hesitant, unsure, almost foolish. I didn't know where to place my arms. I didn't know how long to hold on. I was afraid that if I hugged too long, it would feel weird. But if I let go too quickly, it might feel cold. I was afraid I'd mess it up, afraid they'd feel uncomfortable, afraid I wasn't enough to make them feel even a little bit better. And that's the strange thing. We all know that hugs can heal, but no one ever teaches us how to hug someone who's falling apart. So we grow up with hurried hugs. We think just touching someone is enough. We assume that if our arms close, we've connected. But then one day, you'll meet someone you can't help with words. No advice fits. No cleverness makes a difference. Only silence and a hug. And in that moment, you realize a hug isn't just a gesture. It's a full presence, a quiet promise. I'm not leaving you. And maybe you'll find yourself learning, not from a book, but from that moment when you drop all the awkwardness and dare to hug someone with your whole heart. The more time goes by, the more I understand that a hug isn't just a gesture. It's an emotional conversation, a silent exchange that can either bring someone to tears or help them finally breathe again. You see, people can hear hundreds of pieces of advice, but sometimes what they truly need is a hug that's willing to stay with their pain. A hug long enough for them to realize, I don't have to explain anything. I don't have to be strong right now. And the beautiful part is, you don't need to understand their whole story. You just need to offer them a place to lean on. A moment of safety in a world that constantly demands we hold it all together. A hug, when given with genuine care, doesn't just say, I see you. It also says, I accept you, even in your most fragile moment. I still remember a time, a friend of mine lost his mother. He didn't cry in front of the crowd. He didn't speak a word throughout the entire service. People tried to comfort him with things like, she's in a better place now, or time will heal everything. I didn't know what to say, so I just walked over, placed my hand on his shoulder, and hugged him. Not tight, not awkward, not trying to do something dramatic, just being there. And in that moment, he collapsed. For the first time, he cried. Not because I said the right thing, not because I did something grand, but because someone was willing to be silent with him. And from that moment on, I knew something deeply true. A hug at the right time can be the answer to questions that will never have words. No one ever taught you how to hug like this. But maybe life itself has been teaching you, quietly, in its own way. Through the moments when you didn't know what to say, but you stayed anyway. Through the times you opened your arms, even while your heart was still full of hesitation. and through the quiet realization that silence can heal too when offered the right way. A hug may not change the whole world, but it can change someone who's starting to believe they have nowhere left to hold on. And if you're someone who's ever been saved by a hug, or if you've ever reached out to hold someone who was falling apart, then you know, sometimes you don't need to understand, you just need to be there. If this video brought back a memory, a person, a hug that once touched your heart, share it in the comments below. Because maybe your story is exactly what someone else needs to hear today. And if something here spoke to you, hit subscribe. Not because this is just a YouTube channel, but because it's a space where we gently listen to the things no one ever teaches us, but everyone needs to know.